We'll leave it there. Yeah, I mean, hey, a lot of hype around him. We know that. I told you yesterday he's odds favorite to win the Heisman currently. Garrett Nussmeier is going to be next. Cade Klubnik, two guys that have proven it so far in college football. But I think the hype is real, and I think they did it the right way. I've gone into this. We have for seasons, it feels like, specifically last season. You know, the people asking, well, and then we brought up the Aaron Murray audio, or I read off the quote from him. Well, why did a seventh rounder start all last year if Arch is supposed to be this good? Well, that's who Sark thought brought the best opportunity for the Texas Longhorns to win at that time being. That doesn't mean Arch Manning is not going to be better than Quinn Ewers. They are preparing him for this season, and he knew that coming in. That was all preparation. It was him, getting time on the 40 acres that, let's call it how it is, Quinn Ewers didn't really have. He transferred in from the Buckeyes, and he had to be kind of thrown in the fire right away. He played well when he was healthy, but that was the big thing, is when he was healthy. That's the asterisk there. So I think Arch Manning has prepared himself. I think I would trust him and his family's judgment when it comes to wanting to learn under Sarkisian's offense, who, let's call it how it is a very good offense. It's very unique for sure. It's pro style, and it's complicated. Plain and simple, even for a guy that has last name Manning. So to learn this offense, to have guys that he is now coming up with, he isn't asked to be the leader the second he gets on campus, where he would be at majority of the schools in America. Look at Bryce Underwood right now, Michigan Wolverines. Kid's getting paid a lot of money, number one recruit in the class this year in 2025. And hey, we're paying you so much money, we're going to ask you to be the starter. Are you ready to go play in Norman week 2? I don't know. That's not an easy place to play. We'll talk about hot seats, and Brent Venables being one of them. Is he on the hot seat if they don't have a winning season or a better season than last year, which is pretty much a winning season? So we asked that with Arch Manning. Recruiting-wise with Texas, we'll talk more to Arch Manning later in the show, but I thought that was some insightful stuff, actually, from Cam Newton, who, listen, that's a guy who, when he
went through a lot in college.
Exactly. Was at Florida. Tim Tebow was there. I believe there's another guy on that QB roster. Wasn't there not, or is it just him?
I don't remember, but I know he went to Blinn after.
He did go to Blinn, and then that's when he transferred to Alabama, where, he won the Heisman, the national championship, putting the team on his back. Can you name another player on that Auburn team? I sure can't. That was all Cam Newton. Maybe if we go down the list here, we can figure out a name or two.
Was Chris Davis still on that team?
Maybe, but I don't even know if he was.
There goes Davis.
Yeah.
Was that the year before or after?
I think that was after.
Might have been 2 years after. Yeah. Continue. It was the year Florida, because Auburn lost to Florida State.
Long story short, I thought that was pretty insightful that, hey, everyone's kind of rushing it. We are prisoners of the moment in this accelerated world where we're living in, where we want everything right now, short clips here, there, everything. Patience is not a virtue a lot of people have, especially in the landscape of college football. And look at credit to Arch Manning. He stuck it out, and now they're the odds favorite, and he's the odds favorite to win the Heisman when the kids started to, 3 games in total?
Yeah, exactly. And another thing that we've hammered over and over again, who are the 2 most successful rookie quarterbacks in the NFL last year?
That'd be Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix.
And how many years of college football did they play?
They played a lot.
6.
They played.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you got to the longer you can cook. It's like a brisket. You want it low, you want it slow, and you get the best quality product out of it.
Absolutely. And that's why I'll be shocked. I should say I will be shocked if he's in the draft. Unless he wins the Heisman, they win the national championship.
Breaks all Jaden Daniels records.
If those two things happen, I think Arch Manning has an excuse to leave. You're the number 1 overall pick at that point. You brought home a championship for a personal accolade. You got a Heisman. Yeah, let's live that long, though, right?
You have a perfect first-round team to go to that isn't
exactly
the Saints or the Browns.
Sure, if you want the legacy of the Saints, they might be the worst team in football. I think it's going to be a bad team in football. His former teammate, I think Miami's going to be bad this year. I think they might be in the business of just being like, oof, they're going to be rough, just the stuff they're doing. I digress, though. When it comes to Arch Manning, I think that Sark and the staff and everything, they protected him, and this is going to be a great year for him, and I totally understand the hype. Now, you got to go show it. You're either going to be a really elite player or you're going to be underwhelming. I think those are the only 2 options. There's really no in-between. He's either going to be an elite player where teams are going to have to game plan around how are we going to beat Arch, and that defense is already stout. We saw that last year. But how are we going to beat Arch Manning? I think if he develops into that, that's all you can ask for. Hey, when it comes to recruiting news, fellas, what's the name to watch out for this weekend? It's Felix Ojo.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is the
tomorrow.
Number. Right, tomorrow. Thank you. Tomorrow, Felix Ojo is going to be making his commitment. 6'6", 275 out of Mansfield, Texas, offensive tackle. he is projected. Now, this is speculation.
The old crystal ball.
The crystal ball is saying the Longhorns are going to get him. But he is going against some big names in the landscape of college football. Texas is obviously one on his board. Michigan has had a really good recruiting class. They're just starting to put on together. I think the connection, you're seeing it now, too. Well, a lot of these older coaches are kind of flooding out of the league. These younger coaches, referring to Shimbrone Moore, I mean, I'm watching what he's doing over there. He's connecting with these young kids that want someone to connect with because he hasn't proven anything. Yes, they beat Ohio State last year and Bama in a bowl game, the B-Dubs Bowl or whatever the hell it was there in Tampa. But, he's connecting with this younger generation. Ohio State obviously thrown in the mix, and then Florida and Ole Miss. I believe Florida's going to be the fourth hat. I don't know if Ole Miss's hat is going to be there. But that is what is for Felix Ojo. So watch that. Tyler Atkinson of Loganville, Georgia. Georgia Bulldogs are projected in the crystal ball. But, hey, who knows? If you could get this edge guy, that's another 5-star, and that'll help elevate you in the recruiting class. You're at 14 right now. Mm-hmm. Some polls have you further back or higher up, but I'm looking at 24/7. That's what I'm just viewing right now. You probably need one of those two guys. I think Felix Ojo will be a Texas Longhorn unless something happens, and that'll be huge for what was the Pancake Factory, just implementing that
we will
to the class.
Have an opportunity maybe to break some news because there is a commitment ceremony happening today at 10 a.m. That is the Maid Creek, Katy, Texas.
Maid Creek.
Yeah, 3-star linebacker Kosi Akpala.
Okay.
He's listed for – some people are recruiting him as an edge. Texas is recruiting him as a linebacker. We've seen what Texas can do with linebackers. I mean, I think Texas has the best linebacker room in the country, and it's still somehow overrated.
Yeah,
because you hear about Anthony Hill, but I don't hear a lot about Leonga Lafau. And how many games did he put his? There were handprints of Leonga Lafau all over that Texas defense last year. I think that room is going to be stacked. Also, North Crowley, the interior, John Turntine III. He's being projected as a guard. You could even see him maybe slip the tackle, but that's one of Kyle Flood's key targets. Noah, that's another Michigan target. Stanford, Texas A&M. So this kid might be pretty bright, I'll say that for John Turntine III.
Sure, a few of those
he will be committing tomorrow as well, so it's a big day. Another name to keep an eye on for recruiting is Caden Finley, the son of Jermichael Finley. But I feel
like he's going to Notre Dame.
That has been trending Notre Dame's direction, it seems like, the whole time. You never know. Maybe a legacy will flip one more time. You can't throw any more money at him, right?
Yeah.
But another name, Kendall Guerville. He was a recruit that Texas was looking at. He committed to Florida yesterday. Also, Trenton Henderson
Did you
is
bring
another.
up Jamarion Carlton yet?
Not yet, but Trenton Henderson he committed to LSU.
Jamarion Carlton, I bring him up because he's going to be committing next week. That'll be on the 10th. And that is going towards the Longhorns way, at least here in the crystal ball.
There's a lot of these names that we'll get into
Temple
next week. I'm seeing a lot of July 10th, July 12th commitment dates. But another one that we'll look at over the weekend is the 5-star
Bryce Perry Wright.
Yeah, Bryce Perry Wright, but he is he's from Georgia, but Georgia's doesn't appear to be on his list. He's probably a Clemson commit, but Texas
they have a lot
is in
of
the mix.
D-line commits already. Yeah. That's the thing with them. So
I just don't think you're going to turn your nose up at any of these 5-stars, right?
No, you're not.
But yeah, I mean, people have their recruiting boards. I'm certainly not going to judge Kirby Smart when it comes to recruiting. I think they'll be all right.
Yeah, Bryce Perry Wright was one of those guys. A lot of these guys came in June, had that big month of June where they're having all the visits officially. He came in June 13th. He is a defensive lineman, 6'2", 250 out of Georgia, like you mentioned. Clemson, though. With Dabo Swinney and all that drip, how good is Dabo Swinney and the Clemson Tigers going to be
hold on.
this
Don't
year?
move past that yet.
Coach Sweeney's got that drip.
Thank you.
He might this year. I'll give him credit. Most returning players, most returning starters. Cade Klubnik.
By far most veteran quarterback in college football.
Yes.
I think they're for sure going to go to the playoffs. That is my prediction. If they can beat LSU out of the gates, whoa. Pressure's on LSU, too.
I
5 years in a row they've lost a home
opener.
Their opening game, which never is at home, it feels like.
And
5.
That does go back to Big Ed, but
Big Ed O.
It is certainly a bad development. 0-1 is you can't start worse than 0-1, right? After 1 week of football, but yeah, I mean, I think it's a big, and we're going to do that. It's a radio tease. We're going to talk about our hot seat coaches coming up.
We are.
But
we'll get to that next
Brian
hour.
Kelly is he's probably the the king of the castle in that regard, right?
Rightfully so.
That's-
In terms of big name programs,
I was going to ask, is
DeBoer's not on the hot seat
who's
yet.
got a hotter seat? I think it's the only other coach. There's a few.
LSU is currently more relevant than Oklahoma.
Brent Venables.
Yeah, I
Is
think
he,
he's. Oh, absolutely.
okay.
If they go 7-5 again, why bring him back?
Yeah.
What would be the point?
It's funny, Jackson Arnold, what he was coming into out of high school, 5-star, huge recruit. Thought that they were going to hitch their wagon to that, their Sooner wagon.
Nope.
The Sooner scooter.
He didn't make it through 2 games. Feels like.
Do you predict Brian Kelly will be doing this after week 1? No, don't play.
And we're sitting here again talking about the. Again, we're sitting here again
Talking about the same
talking
things.
about
The same things being they
might be.
lose. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
just punch the tables.
tough place to play. They're not setting themselves up very nicely here. They lost to USC last year in Las
Yes.
Vegas. Now they got to go out to Clemson.
Yeah.
3-point dog currently.
Are they really?
Yes.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, it's fair.
Although
on the road.
this would be one of the less bad season
Losses?
opening losses. I think
Yeah,
Clemson.
it's a loss you can afford,
So-
but it's just an
That's-
uphill battle
of
for
course.
Brian Kelly every year. It
of
feels
course,
like.
but I mean, I think Clemson. They're a hot pick for a bye coming up in January, right?
Oh, for sure.
A guy I believe whose seat is hot is the coach that they lost to last year, Lincoln Riley.
Yeah.
What have you
Yeah,
done
it's
at
another one.
USC? You have a winning record, 26-14.
They were
but
putting together a-
middling.
2022 Texas A&M recruiting class right now, where it's just like a bunch of dudes.
30 guys.
It's just a bunch of guys. Yeah. I mean, how many of those guys are going to end up
got
on campus?
Guys.
I will say this with him. Caleb Williams obviously now has been gone for a little bit. I think that it'll be tough for them to be worse from what they're putting together at USC. They've had decent
Well,
recruiting
that's why I
classes.
think that seat's hot.
Yeah, it's got to be better. He's
Yeah.
got to win 8 games.
But they also don't have a Caleb Williams. And Lincoln Riley in the past, he doesn't have a Baker or a Kyler or a Jalen Hurts.
Yeah. Well, he found out pretty quickly. I don't know how much insight he had about USC going to the Big Ten. This ain't the Pac-12. The defense is a lot different in the Big Ten than it was the
It's
Pac-12.
not the Big 12.
And it's not the Big 12. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
The defense, listen, when he got to the Pac-12, to give him credit, that was a pretty good era of the Pac-12. He got there, I believe, didn't he get there in 2020? Has he been there since 2020? They made it into the, maybe it was the year 2021.
It's a couple years after that because
2021.
Brent Venables was
2021.
hired after Sark, and I graduated
Right.
in 2021, or 2022, but 2021 was Sark's first year.
Yeah, he I believe,
Spring.
yes. So I'm just saying, when he got there, when they were in the Pac, different landscape than it is obviously now, but yeah, you got to have a defense in the Big Ten to win games. Did you know they've lost 5? Little fun fact for you here before we get to our next segment, get to the break. Did you know this with USC that they were leading in 5 of the 5 Big Ten games they lost in the fourth quarter last year? Food for thought.
Can't hold on.
They were winning in all those games.
And I mean,
Food for
that's-
thought.
He's turning into Tom Herman over here.
Yeah, not great.
Turtle.
But that does give you a little something like, hey, we were winning the fourth quarter here. Half these games, you probably should have came out with a win.
Yeah, but that's-
Michigan being one of them.
that's
at
a
the big
big
house.
problem.
We watched that at the victory lap together. That was
Yeah.
a bizarre game.
That's a big problem in like year 3, year 4. That happened to Sark a lot in year 1 and year 2.
Yeah.
You can't be like, we're the team that blows leads.
No.
When it's your full team and your recruits and your coaching staff. I know he had a big love affair with Alex Grinch, but no thanks.
They held the lead in every fourth quarter they played last year. Crazy. And
Beat A&M.
whether they won or lost. I mean, they never were losing.
They beat A&M.
They did beat A&M.
I was watching that at an Airbnb at like 2 a.m. in Fredericksburg,
What was that,
Texas.
the Las Vegas Bowl?
It was a great football game.
Yeah, they were. That means they were leading against Notre Dame, too.
Not lame.
Yeah.